Hi, everyone. We are back for a live episode. We have Dr. Alexis Reid with us. She's one of our masterminders, and she has an incredible business that we want to do a live podcast with all of you. Is this a female founders episode? Is that what we're calling it?
It is. And it's going to actually, I think I rearranged some stuff. I think this is coming out on Monday.
Ooh, all right. Well, let's see about that.
Hot off the press.
Okay, perfect. So say hello if you're joining us live. You can tell that Mina and I really know what's going on. No, our one of our other team members, like she has like a complete power outage today. So we are all just working one arm down. But Sarah's here with us, and she's always here, and she's really helping. So say hi as you are joining us live. And then Sarah, do you have Alexis's
Dawn
website?
says hi.
Okay, I dropped that in. Yeah. Fellow masterminders are joining. We're really excited. So let me pull up my notes and we're going to get started. You ready, Alexis?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, ready? Hey, everyone. We're really excited to have another Female Founders episode for you. So today we have Dr. Alexis Reid. She is okay, start over. What are you? Tell me the ND part again.
Naturopathic doctor.
Thank you. Oh my God.
I know that naturopathic thing is like a layman, hard to remember. That's for sure.
Rewind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready?
Okay. Yes, ready.
Hey everyone, we're so excited to bring you another Female Founders episode. So today we have Dr. Alexis Reid. She is a naturopathic doctor, and she is the CEO and chief scientist behind Ecochic movement. And today we're going to talk about how she raised her average cart value to level up her business. So welcome to the podcast, Alexis.
Thank you.
We're thrilled to have you. So tell our listeners about your business. What is Ecochic movement?
So it is a 100% non-toxic skincare line that I developed in 2013, so almost 8 years ago now. And the line focuses on products for moms and babies.
Amazing. And so tell us a little bit about what is it though? Like what are your best sellers within your kids, your babies, and your adult products?
Yeah, our two consistent bestsellers on the baby line, it's always going back and forth every month, is our diaper cream and our skin conditions cream. Our skin conditions cream is designed to help with eczema. So it's a member of the baby line, but we also have a lot of adults who purchase that as well. And then on the adult line, our consistent number one is the belly butter. So that's one that's designed for stretch mark cream and also for itching of the belly as it's growing during pregnancy.
Oh, we remember those times.
Oh gosh, I know. I think that's a big struggle of moms is learning how to manage their kids, like eczema, skin, diaper, the rash, just all of it. I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, like, am I supposed to air out her butt? Like one of those questions where it's like, you never know what to do and you're a new mom. And there was not so you started in 2013, but I remember when I had my first daughter in 2010, there really was nothing. I mean, not that I could find that was natural and made for that and just felt like it was what I needed. So tell us why you started Ecochic. Is that was it a solving of your own problem?
Well, it ended up being, but my son wasn't born until 2019. So it was a bit of foreshadowing. So I did my undergrad in chemical engineering, and then I was doing my master's in breast cancer research, focusing on toxicology. And in our lab, we were working with animals, we were working with mice, and part of what we were doing was giving them breast tumors to then test different drugs to see how those drugs responded. And one of the things that we would inject our mice with to give them tumors was parabens. And this was in probably like 2008, 2009.
This is so scary.
Yeah. And they've known that since the 40s. Like when I was diving into the research to write my thesis, there's documented research on this since the 1940s. So parabens are commonly, especially in 2009, there are more products without them now, but in 2009, across the board, they were in everything. They're used as fragrance and preservative. So they're pretty much in all skincare products at that time. So, you're doing this in the lab during the day, and then you go home at night and like have a shower, use your shampoo, put on lotion, read the ingredients, and it's all parabens. And actually one of the most commonly recommended creams for babies from doctors, especially if they're having any skincare issues. I don't know if it's the same in the States, but up here it's Galaxol base. And I actually worked at that company when I was in engineering as a co-op student, and it's one of the worst ones. Like if you look on the back, every ingredient is like methylparaben, propylparaben. So this really bothered me at the time in like 2008, 2009. I went to my local health food store, and even though I am a naturopathic doctor, I'm not like super crunchy. So all the products that were available then were very like, they smelled like lavender and hemp, and they were ugly. Like the packaging was gross. So I bought some of those and dealt with it. And then when I was in naturopathic school, we had a whole section on herbs and their use in skincare ailments. So I started formulating, been thinking about doing it for a while. So I started formulating in my apartment while I was still going to school and played around. And then because I had no clue what I was doing, from the business side of things, I just was like, I'm just going to go to Whole Foods and see if they want my product. And I went to Whole Foods and I approached them with the adult line, and they were like, yeah, cool. We have 1 million adult lines, but if you could formulate us something for babies that really works, like come on back and we'd be interested. So I went back, formulated the adult line, and then went back to Whole Foods. And it was a 2-year process to get into Whole Foods, but that was kind of how it all started. And like, I really knew nothing. When they asked me for an invoice, I was just like, yeah, I'll get you an invoice. I had no idea what an invoice was. My brother-in-law has multiple businesses. So I texted him and I was like, I need an invoice. I don't know what I'm doing. And he typed one up and sent it to me.
Amazing. So you went back to them with the baby line, and so how did you just roll up to your local Whole Foods, or what, how did that process look?
The Whole Foods. Well, I lived in Toronto, but at that time, there wasn't very many Whole Foods in Canada yet. So it was in Oakville, which is like a half hour away. So I just drove out to Whole Foods in Oakville and asked someone working in the skincare department to talk to the buyer. And yeah, she was like, well, I'm not really interested in adult, but if you could formulate me some babies. So I went home. I did it in like 2 weeks. It was, I wish I still had pictures of it, because it was just in like packaging I brought from the dollar store, and I wrote baby lotion. I just formulated it out and tested it on some friends and family, and then went back to Whole Foods.
That is amazing. I love that, because, you will never get what you don't ask for.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then that was what phenomenal feedback to get that literally changed your business, right? Because they really, there was probably a gap in the market that they saw that you didn't see initially for yourself,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, definitely we led with the baby, and the baby still outperforms adult. And then, in 2019, when my son was born, he was born with what multiple doctors said the most severe eczema they'd ever seen. So
which is crazy.
He looked like a burn victim. He was like weeping and peeling. And yeah, so then we went through our own eczema battle with him 6 years after I'd been, helping parents with eczema, both in my practice and through the creams. So I thought I had eczema under control, and then he threw me a curveball. So
he was like, all right, now we're going to really test you, Mom. Now we're going to see how great of a doctor and scientist you really are.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Well, one, we're sorry that you had to deal with that, but I think, as my mom always says, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. So I'm glad that, that you worked through that with him. And then, so you're in Whole Foods now, and how many Whole Foods are you in Canada?
6. So they go regionally. So we're in the Northwest Territory in Canada. So it's 6 stores. So I'm in Ottawa. So we're in the Ottawa store, and then there's 5 other ones in the GTA.
Amazing. Yes. And then any other big retailers that you're in right now?
Not like big box like that. Snuggle Bugs is another fairly big baby brand in Canada. They have multiple, I don't even know how many they have right now, 8 or 9 stores. And then Terra 20 is a single store, but it's in Ottawa, but they're sort of like well.ca for any of the Canadian people. They're an eco department store. So they are actually our number 1 selling wholesaler.
Amazing.
That's amazing. So do you want to get into the US market? How is it going with expanding beyond Canada?
I do. There's been some hiccups with the website. So we do have some US online customers, about 5% of our business is US. No US wholesalers. But that is something that I'm trying to get into fair. For Bulletin.
Yeah.
Come on, Bulletin, take Canadians.
We are,
Right.
and we're working with Alexis in our mastermind. So, yes, we have Canadian masterminders. We have masterminders all over the world, and we've been working with you now for several months, and we're excited because you're actually leveling up in revenue, right? Like your business has been growing, and yeah, you're kind of stepping into that next level. So I want to talk a little bit about that because your revenue has been growing. So yes, you're not in the US yet.
No. But
in
there's
the realm,
still lots of opportunity in Canada.
So
we
many,
haven't
yeah.
tapped that out. So
not at all.
Yeah.
And when you get here and when you're here, but everyone can still, they can buy from your website, which is ecochicmovement.com, and she sells to the US. So it's actually cheaper for her to ship to the US than Canada. So.
Yes. And the shipping's pretty quick to the US too, depending where. Like anywhere on the eastern US is pretty quick.
So. But I think that it's probably the same no matter what, because I'm getting things delayed anyways. And it's not because it's international. It's literally because shipping is shipping, you know? So talk to us a little bit more about that. What made you realize that you needed to make your cart bigger or your shipping, cost bigger, right? Because wasn't it in an evaluation of your numbers?
Yes. So I have 2 co-op students working with me this semester. One of them is in accounting. So I had, with his help, we were going through the numbers, and my margins just on product and wholesale and retail price are great. But the challenge we were coming up against is when people were ordering $20 to $30 worth of product, for me to even ship within my city is minimum $10, and I was charging them $5 for shipping, and then free shipping at $75, I believe I was doing. And we did that at the beginning of COVID to try to encourage online orders. But what was happening is we were getting a lot of orders in that even $20 to $40 range. And then sometimes if someone ordered on the other side of the country, if they're super rural, their shipping cost was like $18. And then we're only recouping $5. So it's costing us $13, and the order is only $20. So it just, even though our products had great margins, the shipping margins were killing us.
Yeah, the overhead, right? Because, I mean, for everybody that's listening, Alexis was just giving them the $5 rate, right? Because before, shipping was more affordable, and you probably just, move forward with it year after year, thinking that would at least pay for itself.
Yeah, but it sort of had the opposite effect of lowering average cart value, because people were okay, mentally with paying $5 on a $40 order instead of trying to stretch themselves to $75 for free shipping. So it wasn't working psychology wise. So what we did, we played around with a few different options. So initially I just, we ship with Canada Post. I don't ship with UPS or FedEx right now because their rates aren't comparable to Canada Post. I'm just looking, I'm in my center here. Some of our boxes, if people order a baby shower gift set, or some of our products are fairly heavy and big, so we do ship bigger boxes, and they're quite expensive with FedEx and UPS. So what we did at first was, I'm on Shopify, so we just changed it to try to make the customer pay the actual Shopify like discounted rate through Shopify, and our sales just plummeted. So I tried that for a week. I was like, oh, we'll just ride it out for a week. But we were doing less sales in a week than we had been doing in a day. So that wasn't a great option. And then I was talking, I also dabble in the service side of online products. So I was talking to some people in my online product support area, and they were like, this course I was going to launch, they're like, you're charging way too little for that. So then it just made me think maybe I should look at my prices. I'm probably charging too little for my products as well. And I went on to the Body Shop's website, and they were selling just a generic, not natural body butter for $21, and I was selling my natural one for $19. So I was like, whoops. So I increased my prices overall, anywhere from $1 to $5, depends on the product. And then we took our free shipping, or our flat rate shipping, from $5 to $8. But I moved the free shipping threshold down to $60. And now that seems to be working quite well. We are still getting some orders under $60, but our average cart was at 50-ish before, and now it's going more up to 75, which is where the which is over the free shipping threshold, which is where our old free shipping threshold was. So
Did you ever test, and I forget right now, but did you ever test where it wasn't a flat rate of free shipping, but rather they just paid whatever the shipping was until they got to that free threshold?
yeah, and we got nothing.
It didn't work.
Our sales like, psh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
because the rates are so expensive. So when people are picking like 2 or 3 creams and then it comes up $15 to ship them.
right.
Yeah.
And so
like,
this is like that trial and error, right? Where a lot of times people ask for this one answer. And when we were working through this with you in the mastermind, there were a couple questions. One, I just want to like back us up before that. Your site used to be it was Canadian to US, and I was paying less in the US to buy from you in Canada.
Significantly less, like 70 cents on the dollar.
Deal of a deal for me.
Yeah.
I was like, this is cheap. And so one of the first things we worked on with you was your website recognizing if people were in the US or in Canada. It didn't, and then it just populated the price. So right now, are they across the board the same? So $21 in Canada is $21 in the US?
They're supposed to be. We're still having a bit of issues because Shopify doesn't want to let you do that without the Shopify Plus plan. So we have an app. I can't remember the name of the app right now, but we have an app that's doing it, but it's still a little finicky. So, and there's a toggle that people can change it at the bottom.
But you are charging you're charging more or less the same across the board now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We may need to, I've been talking back and forth with my web designer. We may need to build out, like when you go on other sites and it pops up and says, are you in Canada? Are you in the US? At the beginning, where they choose that option, we may need to build that in if this remains finicky before we really push into the US. We're not, we still have a lot to exacerbate in Canada first. So before we really push into the US, we're probably going to build out another site.
And it's actually something, because when I just went on your site, it says it looks like you're in the US. Is that right? And we toggled it, and I toggled it, and then it populated for me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so it's working. So that's one thing, right? So that was one. And like you were losing money not only on shipping, but you're also losing money on conversions shipping from Canada to the US, because right now the US dollar is stronger than the Canadian dollar. So that was one big thing, and just kind of finding lost money, right? You knew your product was profitable, but there was lost money happening. And then the second thing that you did, which was another, I think, question that we brought up in the mastermind, was the shipping. Do I charge the flat rate? Do I raise the threshold? Like, where do I go with that? And so you've kind of done all of this in the last few months. And you said now you're doing better. So did you see that raising your prices and setting a threshold has really added to your bottom line?
It has added, definitely margin wise. We've had a slowdown right now that I think is related to the iOS update and our Facebook ads and all of that going on right now. But I think once we ride this bump out, that it will. But it also, I hadn't been aggressively going after wholesale just because of all of this. So now it has opened up our margins more for wholesale. So just in the last week or two, we have reached out to, I think we're closing in on 50 wholesalers that we've reached out to. So we should be bringing in some new ones there hopefully soon.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you already know that wholesalers want it. So, and plus it's definitely easier to get into, you kind of did it in the flip way, right? Most times it's easier to get to direct to consumer versus wholesale, but you flipped it because you walked into a, Whole Foods and got into your first one. And I think that is exceptional of you. I think that's really hard for people to even fathom walking into somewhere and even asking who the buyer is, much less actually speaking to them, and then creating a product that met what they wanted,
And it's funny because that's probably not something I would do now, but I did it then.
You don't think so?
I don't know. I haven't since. I kind of got a little turned off wholesale for a while. Like before I have my local wholesalers and a few key ones, but most of them I've had 5 or 6 years. I haven't really reached out to wholesale in a while. So
yeah, I think, people, there's a love and hate that comes with wholesale because it is so much work and a lot of putting yourself out there. And it feels like sometimes, it's not as much money, obviously, because it's cut in half. But honestly, I know businesses that their bread and butter is wholesale. And, it sometimes is easier too. Some people love it because they only have to ship out a certain amount. They don't have to worry about those one-off orders. They don't have to worry about the overall shipping, and it's simple, but definitely they're different animals for sure.
Yeah, and it gets new eyes on your products too.
Yeah.
Expands your audience. So
right. So what do you see? What are you working on? I know that there's, with COVID and everything happening, mom life is real, right? Like the having skin issues and everything, appointments, right, for your son, and then building a business and everything. So how's it going, and where are you focusing right now?
So my son currently, because he wouldn't take a nap, is driving around with my husband while he's on a call in the car.
Oh my gosh. That is literally my life, I feel like, too.
We've been having to do that a lot lately because they won't accept him at full-time daycare because he won't nap. So we just have to put him in the car and drive him and do our calls in the car. So yeah, it's definitely, working hours have been reduced. Thankfully, I do have 2 co-op students working with me right now. So that has been very helpful. And I also have another part-time employee who does production, but I've had her for 2 years. So she's not new since COVID. So right now we're working on a lot of things, because we're always working on a lot of things. We're working on the outreach to wholesale. We're putting together a virtual, we're running an event. So we're putting together a virtual baby shower geared at moms who, have missed out on their baby shower, or moms really in the last 2 years who COVID has put a big impact on their mat leave experience or their baby shower. So we ran this event last year. And what I did was I partnered with a bunch of brands that I already knew. And we did a sort of a Facebook party. Everybody came. There was giveaways for all the different brands. And
it was successful. Let's talk about the numbers of that, because that was right. We're hitting the anniversary of COVID, but that event was it right before COVID or right after?
We did it. I was just looking the other day, May 14th. So
it was, wow, day before.
Prime COVID. We had 700 moms attend, and we had 24, including myself, participating businesses, and over $8,000 worth of giveaway prizes. But I didn't position it so that it was one big giveaway. I can't remember exactly, but I think we had 36 or 46 winners. We had a lot of winners. And then I also did a coupon code it was only live during the event. And trying to remember, I think we did $3,000 during the event. But at that point in time, I was only doing $3,000 a month online. So it was, double what we were doing online.
Right.
And how many email addresses did you collect from that?
700-ish.
Yeah. So it was a pretty incredible thing. And you're doing it again this year. Are you looking for people if they wanted to message you, if they have baby products?
Yeah, we are. So I just sent out an email. So we're looking at doing it probably the 2nd of May. We're doing it ahead of Mother's Day this year, because I'm thinking I'm going to do a little Mother's Day promotion post show. So I just sent out the email to pass the people that participated last year to give them first chance if they want back in. But I do have a few other brands that have come on my radar in the last year that I want to invite. And yeah, we are definitely open to receiving.
So how should they
want to come in?
How do they contact you?
They can contact my email.
Do they want DM? Let's have them DM you.
My email's not currently working thanks to the Microsoft hack.
Let's do DM. Yeah. So she's at Ecochic Movement, right? At Ecochic Movement. Okay. On Instagram, you can DM her, and it is such an amazing event, because what I love about it too is that now you get to do it a second time, and you're really positioning yourself in a way that you are such a thought leader, right? You're such a just thinking about the research that went into this. You've already been in this 2013. You do the math, right?
Yeah. Well, it was November, so just 7 years.
7 years. Yeah, a little over 7 years. And I think it's perfect for you get new leads, and also you are positioning yourself. Plus, you made $3,000 worth of sales. So it'll be really interesting to see now, because we're out of a little bit of the COVID scare of, the initial reaction to that. And it just goes to show you people still have babies even in pandemic times.
Oh, more babies.
more so. More first babies is the theory, because people who are already at home with their kids are like,
leave me alone.
but we're first babies, I've been hearing.
That's so funny. So I wanted to ask you a tip that you could share with our other product entrepreneurs out there. So what sort of advice or tip would you want to share with them about running a business or anything really?
I think, and this was a hard one for me, is that, often you are the bottleneck and you have to delegate out things, and you shouldn't, like, once you reach a certain level, you really shouldn't be doing $15 an hour tasks. And like, I still find myself like, I was emailing wholesalers. Like, that's probably something I could have had a script for and passed off to someone else. But just how much, especially when you're the maker, because I was the maker and I was really hesitant to let someone else make my products. I actually didn't hire anyone until I was like 9 months pregnant and physically couldn't make my products. But just how much taking yourself out of all that day-to-day work allows you to, have more of a vision and think about where things are going, and be available for other opportunities that come along, because you're not in the basement, in my case, for 6 hours a day trying to fill a wholesale order.
Yeah, I love that. I think I'm going to add on to that, because I see something that you've done so well is that not only are you not doing the $15 task, but you've also thrust yourself into the spotlight. I think that's something that people are scared of, especially when it's sometimes why they stay in $15 tasks. But you went up to a wholesale account. You created an event where you're the spotlight and essentially the sponsor of the entire event, So I would say take yourself out of the $15 task and do not be afraid to put the spotlight on yourself.
Yeah, and like, I still don't do it enough. Like, I'm not like Annika on Reels and stuff. Like, I'm still not in video enough on Instagram and on Facebook, and
you do it in your own way,
doing all that. But
so Annika definitely, her genius is Reels, like those facial expressions. I was like, you need to earn an Emmy for these Reels. But I think you do it in your own way, and you're very much introverted compared to her, and it's exceptional in your own way.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I'll add to that too, because you're as the chief scientist, right, behind this brand, and the fact that you are a scientist, it's not just somebody in your basement being like, oh, I'm gonna add these natural oils to jojoba, and
Yeah.
like you're a doctor, you went to school, you're an engineer, you are the chief scientist behind it. So even if it's not necessarily, I don't know, Dr. Bromers, for example. My husband buys Dr. Bromers. We don't know who Dr. Bromers is. He died a long time ago, but there's a lot of information about him on that bottle,
Yeah.
And so the idea is like trusting the quote unquote, trusting the doctor, and the doctor has like the right prescription for you. And so I think I'm really excited to watch your growth because you are a thought leader. You're coming out with a course to help moms with eczema, which is the product that you sell. Right. So, because you were doing client or patient work. What are you laughing? Because it's
no, because my previous course idea, they were like, how does this lead into anything?
Oh yeah, what was it? I forget what your first.
It was on mom burnout, but then I don't really have anything to follow that up besides one-to-one consults.
Versus we were like, or you teach people how to deal with eczema, and then you say a part of your solution is buying my products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it's really interesting watching you step into that what's the word? Like your confidence. Because I think your confidence as a doctor, you're confident with your patients, you're confident as a scientist, you're confident in all of that. And now I think it's stepping into that confidence as, like Mina said, the thought leader of this business. You're doing it by hosting this virtual baby shower, right? And having super successful way at that anyways. You're doing that because you know the ingredients that perform well. And now you've had your own son who post you starting this business really needed help, right? So you're an expert from just mom life experience and your, physician experience. So I think it's going to be really fun to watch you step into, Dr. Alexis said,
I know, the doctor of eczema, it'll be fantastic, just having you be, because you're already so far ahead of the rest of us. you know, I mean, you're so far ahead of yourself, right? You already were doing these experiments on and learning all these things, and then you created a product, and then you had a son who had that. So it's crazy to think about how your journey evolved. And so I can't imagine what it's going to look like even further down into, you know, even a couple years. So, Alexis,
she's like, breathe in, breathe out.
Well, the problem with me is I always have lots of big plans and like big projects and big ideas. So.
That's why we're working together, right? Like keeping you focused and you have like you've made huge just in the last like 5-6 months, like the huge moves you've made. The cool thing about you is I'm sure you're high in fact finding. Like I'm sure you're very much a researcher and maybe a bit slower to start, but you've actually moved very quickly. So you might actually be have you ever taken the Colby? No. I wonder where she is on the quick start because I think you research, but you actually do like when you get coached, you take action.
Scientists. Well, my husband's a 2 on the quick start, and Lord help me, it's like pulling teeth, let me tell you, to get him to do anything. I would say
Alexis moves quick.
Yeah. So I would say that you're more like a 3 or 4, where he's a 2. Jacqueline's a 9 or something,
I'm
obviously.
Like I'm like, let's do it.
Okay,
we're doing it now.
I'm a 7. 7 to 9 is considered high. But I think that even knowing that, I mean, you do take such great action. It's impactful action. And I think whenever you are put into the spotlight, I mean, this is the second time you're running the baby shower, for example. And I think that that is such a huge, bold move. The opportunities from it are like massive. And so you don't actually have to do a lot. I think what you happen to do is very impactful and significant. So don't feel like, you know, you need to have all these ideas or you need to do all these things. You're onto something here, you know? And so I think with that, let's share with everybody how they can support you, share you, and buy from you.
Sure. So our website is ecochicmovement.com. We're on Instagram at Ecochic Movement and on Pinterest. That's a newer adventure, but we're liking it at Ecochic Movement as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you for being with us, and we cannot wait to continue to watch you grow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alexis.